Hello, everyone. Welcome to NFTV Extra. Welcome to the Black and White Flag. We haven't done a Formula One video for a few weeks, so I thought, right, I'm going to have to jump on it, get talking about the F1, because it hasn't really been a very happy time for us Ferrari fans. More on that very shortly. I still have been given my reaction to each of the last 3 Grand Prix, which we're going to recap on. And yeah, I'm not really a happy bunny. I must stress as well. JB said it's not a good race for Ferrari today. No, we will talk about that a little bit later. We'll also check on the standings as well and the constructors a little bit later as well. And he's gone to say that Leclerc seemed to have luck with Verstappen unreliable early on the season, but now it's Ferrari with unreliability and silly strategies also. Yes, more on that. So as I say, we will be talking about it. If you can help us out by smashing the video here on NFTV Extra, please like the video. This is the F1 content, and I'll try my best to be positive for you. But we're going to go back 3 Grand Prix, and we're going to take a look at my reaction to the Barcelona Grand Prix. Yes, so reaction to the Catalonia Grand Prix. Not good. A bit of emotional race, I think. Obviously, Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso back on their home Grand Prix. More on Sainz in a minute. But yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, Charles Leclerc would have won that if he didn't have his power unit failure. That's facts. He was way out in front. Red Bulls were way behind, and the pace that Ferrari shown was really, really impressive. That's the positive to come from that. But yeah, the power unit failure is a worry because of what happens again. We're seeing it with an Alfa Romeo as well. Going down, but you know, Verstappen takes the claim, takes the win. Perez wasn't very happy that he had to move over, but it's team orders. Of course it is. Look, Christian Horner's playing it down. Of course it's team orders. Of course it is. So 1 and 2 for Red Bull. George Russell again. You know, he was fighting with the Red Bulls towards the end of the Grand Prix. They're 3/4 of the way through, but Red Bull's pace is brilliant. So he's done well. Driver of the day for me, although he's lost 4th position, is Lewis Hamilton. Driver of the day for me for what happened for him so early on in the Grand Prix, where he gets knocked, he tangles with Magnussen, and he comes all the way back from the grid to finish. He was going to finish 4th until he had to slow down and save. I don't know if it was for, I haven't seen it back, but it might have been for fuel reasons or temperature reasons. But Carlos Sainz gets past him, and Carlos Sainz finishes 4th, which is his best ever finish in the Spanish Grand Prix. But he had a bit of a mixed day, didn't he? He started on 3rd, and I think the podium really could have been a realistic target if he didn't go off the side and, you know, onto the gravel. And not even Verstappen did. Verstappen went off the side of the gravel. So it happened a couple of times on the same corner. But yeah, 1st and 2nd Red Bull, disappointed as a Ferrari perspective. But I haven't said that though. Ferrari's pace was fantastic all weekend. So that's promising leading into the Monaco Grand Prix. So even Charles Leclerc said that afterwards. And I think the pace is there. I think the pace is better. The upgrades are there as well. So I'm optimistic. It's his home Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc. So the glamour of that and what have you. But overall, Alonso, as I say, coming through the grid, fantastic for him. He's shown it. He's the quality driver despite, you know, his age. Age is nothing. He's still got it. He's still got talent. I generally feel if he was in, you know, a Red Bull or a McLaren, he'd be way up the table. Speaking of McLaren, poor again. Norris struggling. Ricciardo's just shite. I just didn't rate him. Daniel Ricciardo is poor. I think McLaren are carrying someone. I think his pace just hasn't been there for a few years. I know, obviously, won a Grand Prix 1 or 2 down the last few years, but he's just averaging 12th, 13th every race now. He's shite. He's poor. Just didn't rate him. And obviously, Bottas is doing fantastic well. And again, he's shown the quality that he's got, you know, coming in the top 6. So, and feel for Mick Schumacher. He almost got in the points as well. I feel for him a little bit because he's been close the last 2 Grand Prix, and that's the improvement that Haas is showing with their speed. So it won't be too long before Schumacher gets back in the points, which, of course, I want that to happen. Of course, just for the name alone. Ferrari and Formula 1 legend, his dad. But yeah, mixed emotions, disappointing from a Ferrari perspective. But we go into Monaco GP, and you know, if you can get pole, it's very hard to overtake. So that's what I'm hoping for. Leclerc's quick and Sainz is quick, and hopefully Leclerc gets back in front of Verstappen because he's now leading the championship. So are Red Bull. But yeah, disappointed because Leclerc would have won that hands down. Yeah, so that was my reaction to the Barcelona Grand Prix a few weeks ago. So, yeah, that was the first sign of an engine unit failure, which is a common. It seemed to be like a common theme, especially after Baku today, which we'll talk about Baku in a minute. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because in that race we had the pace, but yeah, we've been obviously let down with the power unit. It's frustrating time for me being a Ferrari fan at the minute, and Leclerc has the Monaco curse as well. Yeah, we'll go on to Monaco in a minute, and Thomas has gone on to say Schumacher should have been in the points already. K-Mag, listen, is setting out consistent good points. Obviously, he and Schumacher isn't at level, but he needs to do better. Yeah, especially I agree on that point as well, Thomas, because obviously Schumacher is under the Ferrari brand, and obviously Ferrari are keeping an eye on him and they want him to do well. And I think you're all right. I think he's got to start getting into the few of the points he's shown. Obviously, with the experience of Magnussen, that you can't do it, but hopefully he does very, very shortly. So obviously, picking up my disappointment, going into the Monaco Grand Prix, I'm thinking, right, Charles Leclerc is at his home Grand Prix. If he can get pole again, because he's getting the poles left, right, and centre this year, can he get the pole? He did get pole. It was Ferrari 1 and 2. But what happened? Here's my reaction to Monaco. So there you have it. The Monaco Grand Prix. Sergio Perez won, Sainz second, Verstappen third, Leclerc fourth, Russell fifth, Norris sixth, Alonso seventh, Hamilton eighth, ninth, Bottas 10th, Sebastian Vettel. Right, quite a lot to get through, isn't it, with the Monaco Grand Prix? So it literally just started to rain as we're going to race, and of course they went round behind the formation lap, behind the safety car, and said, "Nah, it's too much." And then it looked like it was starting to dry up, and eventually we got going again. But because the time was ticking down, it wasn't going to be the full laps because of the rules where you've got to finish. I think it's with a 3-hour window, 4-hour window from the race starting. Correct me if I am wrong. But once we got going, we got delayed again because Mick Schumacher had a horrendous crash, smashing into the barriers, and that was delayed. Thankfully, he was okay. He's fine. But, yeah, it caused havoc again because there was more delays. But the big talking point really from, obviously, Ferrari head here is that, yeah, Carlos Sainz saved himself literally on this starting a new lap where his car was spinning. That was great for him. It's fantastic to see him come second. He said in an interview afterwards the lap car cost him the win because that could have got him a couple of seconds higher in. We don't know about that. I don't know, personally. Charles Leclerc's furious. The first time, really, that I've seen Charles Leclerc absolutely raging because he was told to come into the pits where Ferrari were going to double up. So Sainz was in front of him. Sainz comes in, but the radio says, stay out. But Leclerc's already in the pit. So he's absolutely furious. He's parking literally behind Sainz as Sainz is getting his tyres changed. Sainz goes, Leclerc comes, and he's absolutely raging on the radio. You know, he lives literally within a half a mile of the Grand Prix. Not even that, close I think it is. He's raging because he comes back out in 4th place. So he started first, and then he's back down to 4th. And because it's so difficult to overtake at Monaco, it's incredibly hard. That's why qualifying is so important. And he would have been buzzing to qualify first and have pole. But he's been let down there by the Ferrari team there. Massive miscommunication. Huge miscommunication. But Sergio Perez, of course, won. Kept Sainz behind them. Those top 4 drivers, Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, were all literally together as the time ticked down to end the race. Verstappen wasn't really honest, I don't feel, all weekend. He was never really a threat, I felt, although he finished 3rd, which he'll be delighted Charles Leclerc is behind him. And there's only 9 points in it in the championship. So from having a disaster weekend for Charles Leclerc for the race to be just 9 points behind Verstappen, I think that's okay. I think that's the positive that come out of it, I feel. And it's the first time Leclerc's actually finished at Monaco because he always seems to have issues. But further down the grid, Russell again, top 5, every single Grand Prix, which is great. Norris 6th as well, which is fantastic for him. I think Norris picked up fastest lap as well, I believe, in the McLaren. Whereas his partner, again, I've said this loads of times, Daniel Ricciardo is just not at it this season. His future is very, very... He needs to find some form. His future for me, if he keeps this up, you could see him out of a drive next season in the McLaren. But then there was a big backlog of Alonso just holding tons and tons of cars up. Hamilton was on the radio thinking, how can I get around him? You just couldn't get around him. He's just following him. And there's tons. There was Bottas, there was Vettel, and there was loads more behind Ocon. There was tons that were behind, and there was a big trail of cars. But overall, Ferrari, second and fourth. It's disappointing because we were first and second at the pole. But Perez has pulled himself back into that championship race. It's very, very close between the top three now. But yeah, the only negative from the rulers, if you want to call it that, the race director, the powers that be, is that we were sitting around for quite a while and it stopped raining. Obviously, we did get going again, but that was my only negative from the marshals or whoever's making these decisions at Monaco. But we'll move on to Azerbaijan. So that was my reaction to the Monaco Grand Prix, which I thought was a bit of a shit show from the marshals, the race directors, you name it, because we're sitting around doing nothing. I know, obviously, safety, of course, because the cars are a lot more heavier and it's raining and stop-start, and then you had the crash of Schumacher, as I said there. I mean, race reaction. I've got football on the brain. But yeah, Monaco was an odd race. You're all right, JB. You're totally right as well. His favourite is Lewis Hamilton, but my favourite team is Ferrari. So it's an interesting one then for you for every Grand Prix for you, Wolfzone. Thomas goes on and says Ferrari's strategy is going to cost them another championship. Have not learned from the past mistakes. Yeah, we should be learning. Your favourite is also Hamilton as well, says JB as well. A lot of love. Yeah, he should have won the title last season. Yeah, we all know the disgraceful behaviour from Michael Massey at the end of the last season. We know that over in the Gulf. Yeah, disgraceful. I still can't believe what happened. I felt sorry from usually having conversations amongst yourselves. So obviously the whole Monaco situation was obviously about Charles Leclerc. It was just... I've never seen Leclerc that angry before, ever. Never seen him like that, because you think of Verstappen as a bit of a prat, don't you? He's chucking a baby that throws his toys out his pram. That's what I think of Verstappen. But that was kind of Leclerc. It cost Leclerc at least 2 positions. Sainz, obviously, after the race, was saying that there was a lap car that stopped him winning the race. I don't think Sainz was ever going to win. I know the top 4 closed in really close, but I don't think Sainz really was going to get past Perez. And this is where it started to turn that. Obviously, we had a failure with the engine at Barcelona, and then team orders have messed up Leclerc. And now we'll move on to today's race, when I give my match reaction. Race reaction, straight after Baku, and this was made earlier on today. Well, disastrous day for Ferrari. Once again, Charles Leclerc has been let down again for the 3rd Grand Prix running. If it's not an engine failure, it's his team letting him down. We've seen it in the last 2 Grand Prix, which I've talked about. And now, once again, the power units affecting Charles Leclerc's race. And obviously, he would have went on to win the Grand Prix without a shadow of a doubt again. He was already first. Before the Red Bulls pitted, he was catching them quite easily on the hard tyre. It's very, very frustrating as a Ferrari fan seeing that, because we're literally running away with the Grand Prix once again. It happened at Barcelona. It's happened again today. Obviously, the whole carry-on at Monaco, when he was double pitted, he was told to stay out and come in and what have you. But the power unit, it's not just affecting the Ferraris, it's obviously affected the Alfa Romeos once again. And honestly, the Haas Magnussen is another one as well. So it could be a real issue that the Ferrari engine has. The power units, obviously, Carlos Sainz was another one. Initially, when I seen Sainz go off first, I thought, what's Carlos Sainz done? Because it's always seems to be a mistake or a failure. It's frustrating because we haven't even got any points. And Red Bull pick up the first and second. Now, I don't think Sainz would have challenged the top 3. I think he would have finished 4th. But it's points that Ferrari are chucking away. And Mattio's got to look at it, and the team principal, he's got to look at it and think, you know what, we've got to fix this quickly because we've got Canada up next, and Ferrari need results. Because Leclerc, look, again, I say it in hindsight, if you offered me the position right now at the start of the season, I would have bit your hand off. But quite a fairly easy race for Verstappen and Perez. But Ferrari are just all over the place. Just disappointing, just very disappointing from from being a fan of Ferrari through and through since the mid-90s, but it's not good enough. It's simply not good enough. But again, Mercedes, Russell's out dominating Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton obviously had a really, really poor back. You see it when he got out of his car, he was holding his back like that. And but yeah, Daniel Ricciardo further up the points. I think that's helped with the two Ferraris going out. A lot of speculation with him, a better result for him. Obviously, him and Norris were close towards the end. There was agreement, we heard it on the radio with McLaren, that if he allows Norris to go past his teammate, and if he can't get past the man in front, then I think it was Alonso. I might be wrong on that. I can't remember because it's quite raw. They would have to swap the positions over, but Norris didn't get past Ricciardo. But it's a better result for Ricciardo because he needs a lot of them in the McLaren. But yeah, quite a lot of failures because of the power units and hydraulics and what have you. But it's frustrating. It's very frustrating because if I take away being a Ferrari fan, for the sport itself, Formula One needs Ferrari competing. Because if you take Ferrari out, Mercedes are way behind. Red Bull will just run away with each race, first and second, every single time, because Mercedes are way off the pace. And Formula One needs Ferrari competing. I want, obviously, because I'm a Ferrari fan, but if it's going to run away with it, if Ferrari keep having these power units, Ferrari, for me, have had the better pace the last 2 or 3 Grand Prix. It's just issue in the pit lane and the two failures, especially for Leclerc, because he's trying to go for the championship for the first time, and it's frustrating because Christian Horner's just going, thank you very much, every Grand Prix now. And Verstappen must be laughing, thinking, I haven't got Hamilton this season challenging me. Ferrari's issues are left, right and centre. And they do say that it evens it out across the season. But does it? Because Ferrari are cost themselves massively. And I'm really, really hacked off today about the Ferrari result.
So that was my reaction earlier on this, literally tea time. Matteo Benotti obviously was interviewed on Sky Sports, asked about the question. I did get one of the cars wrong. It wasn't the Alfa Romeo, it was Alfa Tauris, but he asked about the engine failures. He thinks it might be something different with each car, but let's face it, a lot of the power engines from Ferrari are struggling at the minute, and Ferrari themselves are probably the ones that are suffering the most. And as I say, I generally feel that Red Bull are going to run away if Ferrari don't get the act together. Mercedes are still too far out for me, and the sport will become what I'm worried about if this tends to happen a lot more during the season, because Ferrari have got to get the act together. Canada next weekend, you're handing the wins over quite easy because no one's going to compete with Red Bull. It's only Ferrari, and Ferrari have done fantastically well from where they came from last season to compete with McLaren for 3rd place, just to go and challenge and just move up. The sport needs Ferrari competing. I would say that, of course, I would say that being a Ferrari fan, but they need Ferrari competing because it'll be boring. And then if it's boring, you'll have tons and tons of new regulations and new rules coming in left, right, and centre next season. Of course you will. But overall, disappointing last 3 Grand Prix. I cannot lie. But we'll go through some of your comments and then we'll check on the standings as well. Hamilton had a good race. He did today. Yeah, he did. My driver of the day for today. Not many people said it, but I'll probably give it to Gasly because I think Gasly's been a little bit underperforming this season. I think he had a good Grand Prix today, and I think he needs more of it. I think he's a highly rated driver. I saw in a news article today saying Hamilton might not race in Canada because of the bounce. I'm not sure if it's entirely true. Hamilton will race. Hamilton wants the points. He's a fighter. Hamilton's not going to get the title. He's not. Stranger Brandon. Hello, Brandon. Red Bull and Max Verstappen, number 1. Unleash the Lion. Brandon, you have to admit, and he's Dutch, you've got to admit that Ferrari are handing over the wins. I don't feel that Red Bull are being threatened the last few Grand Prix because of Ferrari. It's an easy win for Perez. It's an easy win for Verstappen. Yes, Monaco 1 was very, very tight, and Perez had the Ferrari behind him in Sainz, but overall, the last 3 Grand Prix, Christian Horner's just like this. I said it in the video before. He's just loving it. JB doesn't like Christian Horner as well. Thomas is going to say Hamilton had a decent race. I wouldn't say it's a good race. He's still off George, which is a massive hit from. Yeah, George Russell's outperforming him in most Grand Prix, which is a worry. You think about Hamilton's experience. He just, for whatever reason, Hamilton can't get it. Probably similar to McLaren. I've had a dig at Ricciardo in the first couple of Grand Prix that I've covered the night. Ricciardo had a much better result, but I'm not a big fan of Ricciardo. And obviously Norris is the younger prodigy, and it's quite similar to Mercedes, where Russell's the younger prodigy, and he's outperforming the older guy, if you want to call it that, Hamilton. But Hamilton's got loads of experience as well. Have you seen the Rush movie about James Hunt and Nicky? Nope, I haven't. We'll have a look at the standings. Actually, we'll have a look. Brand says tables turns beginning of the season. Red Bull had some car engines. Also, DRS didn't work for Max in a race and still managed to finish first. Yeah, because that was, I think the DRS that happened when Leclerc was already gone out at Barcelona. But Ferrari having a lot more than Red Bull. I know Red Bull had a couple of Verstappen had a couple of DNFs early on the season, but Red Bulls are both cars at the minute, and it's happening far too much. And I say it's generally not a good thing for the sport if it becomes where Red Bull are just running away with it. It's really not good. It's not a good look. We'll take a look at the constructors first. Here it is, everybody. So bottom of the pile is Williams. Look, Latifi's awful. Latifi's awful. I think he's one of the worst drivers on the pack alongside Lance Stroll and the Aston Martin. I think they're both crap. But yeah, there's the bottom three: Williams, Aston Martin. I do expect Aston Martin to come up. I think Vettel's a better driver. Obviously, missed a couple of Grand Prix. Haas, Ferrari, engines, power unit. Obviously, we've seen it with Magnussen today. The AlphaTauri, another one going out today. The Alfa Romeo, Ferrari engine powered, but Gasly's got some points today, and they're literally right behind the Alpine. So that'll be an interesting battle for 5th and 6th going on there. Going a little bit higher up the table as well. McLaren are starting to pick up the odd point here and there, but I think Ricciardo has to help that team a little bit more. Mercedes are closing in the gap on Ferrari, and who would have thought that? What's that? Nearly 40 points just behind Ferrari. Obviously, Ferrari, the DNF has not helped. And now it looks like that Red Bull are running away at 80 points in front because they got maximum points today, which isn't great for the sport, as I say. But if we take a look at the drivers' standings, let's have a look at it. Let's pull this up. No, I don't want to play fantasy Formula One. Yeah, so let's have a look. Let's start round towards the bottom. Shock, Nicholas Latifi, bottom, because he's useless. Nico Hulkenberg, obviously, he only had a couple of Grand Prix in there. Mick Schumacher still to get off the mark yet. One of the comments mentioned him a little bit earlier. He needs to get some points. Zhao Guan Yu, obviously, with that Alfa Romeo. Was the Romeo right? I was right, wasn't I? Not the Tauri. With the Alfa Romeo coming with a couple of engine failures, powered by a Ferrari unit. Lance Stroll, useless. Alex Albon, I think he's got a lot to prove as well on 3 points. And then it starts to jump up a little bit. Yuki Tsunoda on 11 in the Tauri. Vettel, 13 points. Daniel Ricciardo down in 13. This is what I mean. I was talking about him.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Even Alexa's not sure about him. Kevin Magnussen, fantastic 15 points. He's shown Mick Schumacher what to do. Alonso, I still think he's very talented, and he doesn't have the greatest car on the pack. And Gasly's obviously them points today has pushed him into the top 10, which is great for him. Esteban Ocon in the Alpine as well, sitting in 9th place, comfortable way ahead of Gasly and Alonso. And then we'll start to move slowly into the bigger boys with Bottas in that Alfa Romeo. He had a poor Grand Prix, but he's sitting in 8th. Norris now in 7th on 50 points. Hamilton on 62. And then Carlos Sainz, his poor performance and the failure of Ferrari have cost him. He's dropping down to 5th on 83. George Russell now 99. A bit of a gap opening up there of 16 points between the two. Charles Leclerc has now dropped to 3rd place after that no-finish Ferrari failure. He was leading the race. He was something like, way in front after the Australian Grand Prix. I think it's been something like almost like a 70-point change between Leclerc and Verstappen. And now Perez goes ahead, Sergio Perez in 2nd place. So I am a critic of Perez. I think he should be winning more races in this Red Bull. However, he's got a fantastic chance of maybe fighting for the title. That'd be interesting to see how the dynamics go between the two Red Bulls. Obviously, you've seen it today. Perez easily allowed Verstappen to go past him just after the finish line, the new lap, on the first corner. Verstappen picking up easy wins of late as well on 150 points, 21 clear. But Ferrari need a massive change for the Canadian Grand Prix next weekend. Ferrari have got to win. Oh, there's one of the cats. Ferrari have got to win on that. Alexa doesn't like Daniel Ricciardo, as I say. But But yeah, let's have a look at what you're saying before we wrap up. If you like this Formula One content, you can smash the like as well. We'll try and get another Formula One video out next weekend too. I don't want the title to be decided on unreliability. I think that's when it will be. Unfortunately, at the minute, Ferrari have got to get the act together. Thomas, you could also say that at least some point the Ferrari drivers have felt like a close crash at Imola had a massive... Yeah, he was being too reckless so early on. I said that on the video. He was being too reckless on that chicane bit where he was going for it. If he just stayed where he was, he could have picked up an extra couple of valuable points. Yes, he did come back and went up. He picked up another 3 more places higher up the grid, but just be steady. You're comfortable there. Do you really need to go for it? Just not like him in all these car failures. It is mostly the car, though. Totally agree on that as well. And Ferrari told Leclerc to push at Imola when he didn't need to. So, and we've already seen in Monaco the carry on with the pit, haven't we? Yep. So if you do like the Formula One content here on the black and white flag, please like the video. That'd be fantastic. We'll see if we can get Matt back involved whenever he's free for next weekend. We'll just have a look at your last comment as well. Eve, hello. Hope you're doing well. We're literally at the very end, Eve. So sorry you've missed it. Go back and have a look at all the reactions as well. Have a good night, everyone. Much what to do. Take care. Bye-bye.